All right, so now that we have gone over the objectives for the lesson, let's do a little introduction into Ayurveda. So you should be on page 2 of your workbook. And what you need to know about Ayurveda is that in Sanskrit, it means knowledge of life. And it is a 5,000-year holistic system from India that teaches us to live in harmony with nature and maintain balance in our body, mind, and spirit. It's not just theoretical wisdom, it is practical. And again, people literally have been practicing this for thousands of years. And Aveda as a company is deeply rooted in Ayurveda, and it informs how we care for our guests, our approach to skincare, and even our daily wellness rituals. It's about creating a meaningful experience for both the guest and the esthetician. So we're not just giving a facial, we're giving the guest an entire experience from literally scalp to soul. So let's go to the next slide. And we are still on page 2 of our workbook. So let's dive a little bit deeper into Aveda's heritage and Ayurveda. So, as we've talked about before, Horst Rechelbacher is the founder of Aveda. He founded Aveda in 1978, but before he even created the brand, he discovered Ayurveda after a personal health journey. Um, Horst, as we affectionately call him, had been a hairdresser and an educator and a platform artist for some time now. And that busy, sort of chaotic lifestyle really did catch up with him. So he looked toward the concept of Ayurveda to heal himself, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. So in India, he studied yoga and meditation and herbal healing under Swami Rama. And he has collaborated with the Ayurvedic doctors Upadhyay to bring botanical wisdom into a Veda product, into the Aveda product line that we know and love today. So, for nearly 50 years now, Aveda honors Ayurveda in its products, in its rituals and services. So again, we're not just about treating one organ of the body, right? Or, just the face or just the hair. We are here to create meaningful experiences to affect our physical being, our mental being, and our emotional well-being as well. So our whole being. And that's really what holistic well-being is. And that is really the foundation of Ayurveda is whole body well-being. So, how do you think knowing the history of Aveda and its connection to Ayurveda affects the way you view our services and products? So think about that for a moment, and then we'll hear from some of you. Yes, again, in knowing that Ayurveda is about holistic well-being, yeah, we can help our guests bring that concept of whole body well-being to themselves. Right. Yes, because when our whole body is functioning well, that allows our skin to function better. So we're again just not treating one organ, we're not just treating the face, we're creating a whole body experience and integrating that whole body well-being into our guests, into our own selves um, for a healthy body and mind. Excellent. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so we are now on page 3 of your workbook. So let's look at some fundamental concepts of Ayurveda. So if we break down that word in Sanskrit, Ayurveda means knowledge of life. So Ayur means life, Veda means knowledge. So literally putting it together, knowledge of life. It is at over 1,000 or 5,000 years old. Ayurveda is the world's oldest holistic health system. And again, it's it's what we consider like Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, where with Western medicine, we're really accustomed to identifying symptoms and then going to a physician when things aren't right. Why, right? We're looking for a physician to help us treat those symptoms. But with Eastern medicine, it works a little differently, where we're focusing on mind, body, and spirit and not just symptoms. So it's almost like preventative wellness versus like, you know, identifying symptoms and then seeking out medication or treatment to alleviate those symptoms, right? We really want to work on keeping the body healthy so that we can, bypass illness as much as possible. So Ayurveda helps to guide daily routines and rituals and self-cares. And at Aveda, these principles really shape everything we do, from the formulation of our plant-powered products to designing our rituals of renewal and how we really do care for our guests as a whole person and again, not just as an organ. So, one of the teachings of Ayurveda is that we are made up of five elements. So, let's take a look at those. So, the first element is infinity or space. And when we think of infinity, let's think of like openness. Let's think of like the space or the gaps inside us. I like to personally think of like literally being in an infinite universe, right? If I was floating in space, like literally floating into infinity and beyond, right? So it's a very light element, right? It's the element that allows us to float. It's the space, right? Air now is movement. Think about movement within ourselves. So like blood circulation, lymph circulation, any movement, right? Our thoughts, right? Fire now is all about transformation. So think about when we eat food, our digestive system breaks that down into nutrients that power us, right? It's transforming food into fuel. Water. Now we're starting to get a little bit heavier down the line. So when we think of water, we think of like flow, we think fluidity, moisture, softness, cohesion. And then finally, at the heaviest end of the scale, we have the element of earth, which gives us structure. It's grounding. So think about like the parts of our body that give us structure, like our bones, our muscle, connective tissue. Okay. So, why do we talk about these elements? Well, again, Ayurveda believes that we have each of the five elements within us, and we use the combinations of these elements to create what are called doshas, which are mind body energies that describe how the elements work within us. So now we are on page 4 of your student workbook. So let's take a look. So, one thing to keep in mind is that we are all born to be a specific way, right? Like our genetics determine how tall we are, what our body shape is meant to be, right? What color hair we have, our eyes, our eye color, how our sight is meant to be, that sort of thing. And that's what we call our prakriti. That's our natural blueprint set at birth. It's in our genetic code. And our Vikruti is our current state. So while each of us is programmed to have, a higher like concentration of certain elements. For example, some people might just be programmed to have a higher combination of infinity air at birth. We would say that they are a Vata dosha. Um, we have all five elements within us. So while we might be a Vata dosha with a higher concentration of infinity air, if let's say we spend too much time in the sun and we get a sunburn, now we say that that is more of a pitta imbalance, right? That's our vikruti, right? We've had exposure to the sun that's created a transformation of our skin tone. So let's just review the three doshas. So Vata is a higher concentration of infinity air. So in skin, that can translate to drier skin with like a lack of sebum. It can also be a lack of hydration, where we have more dehydration. Pitta is mostly fire with a little bit of water. And the way that we see that in the skin is literally a transformation of skin tone. So we might see more reds or like erythema. We might see more browns or pigmentation like sunspots, freckles, macules. And with kapha, that's a higher concentration of water and earth. So what we might see in the skin is more oiliness, more moisture. We might also see swelling or edema. We may also see acne breakouts as well. So let's go to some general and out of balance characteristics. And this is on page 5. So here's a snapshot of the three doshas and how they show up in both balance and imbalance states. So let's start with Vata. So Vata again is the combination of infinity air elements. The dominant senses here are hearing and touch. And so physical characteristics of somebody with a Vata dosha includes having like a thinner or lighter frame, having cold hands, cold feet. And some of their general characteristics might be being really like quick thinking, very energetic, very creative, adaptable, right? And again, with skin types or concerns, they might have more dry skin, not as much production. They might have very small or invisible pores, dull or rough skin, maybe more prone to flakiness or roughness. And when somebody has more of a vata imbalance, they might experience more dryness. They might experience more like restlessness or hyperactivity, maybe anxiety, insomnia, irregular digestion. So, if someone is a vata dosha, they can even have more of a vata imbalance for whatever reason. There's different things that, cause things to be out of balance. For someone that's a pitta dosha, again, we're seeing a higher concentration of fire and a little bit of water. Dominant senses are sight, and physical characteristics include having a medium build, and more of a warm body temperature. And general characteristics include intelligence, being ambitious, being focused, being decisive. One thing or a couple of things that we might see with the skin type or concerns. So they might be prone to sensitivity or reactivity. They might veer more towards like combination skin where they do have oil production maybe in the T-zone, or they might be more just like oily or normal to oily. They might be more prone to redness. They might be more vascular. Um, and they might have more redness or inflammation, erythema, breakout activity. They might also be prone to pigmentation from the sun or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And out of balance characteristics include irritability, skin rashes, inflammation, eczema, again, holding on to redness or heat, and even heartburn within the body. And then for kapha dosha, that is a higher concentration of water and earth. So dominant senses include taste and smell. Physical characteristics, again, we have more of like a solid, more heavy build, maybe like bigger boned, bigger framed. General characteristics of a kapha dosha include being calm, very steady, compassionate and loyal. Skin types and concerns we see in a kapha dosha include smoother, thicker skin, well hydrated, possibly oily, which then includes congestion, possibly edema or puffiness, enlarged pores, maybe clogged pores, and possibly acne. Some things that are out of balance include sluggishness, easy to gain weight, congestion, maybe within the skin or like in the sinuses, attachment, lethargy, just kind of like slow moving. Again, while each of us may have our own dosha where we're prone to having a higher concentration of these elements, we have all five elements within us. And so we can see them become out of balance for whatever reason. It could be, something happening at work. It could be something happening within our home life. It could be an illness. It could be change to our diet or to our schedule that can cause these imbalances. And we want to help our guests identify these imbalances so that we can help bring about balance to them, which is a really awesome part of our practice. Again, it's not just giving a facial, it's bringing about awareness to why things might be acting a certain way in the skin. So, one of the things that we can help our guests incorporate into their lives are daily practices for balance called dinacharya. And so Aveda emphasizes maintaining balance to promote optimal health and well-being. And having this daily routine really does help promote balance. So if you have your own routine, which many of us do, right? We get up at a certain time of day, we eat breakfast at a certain time, we go about our business, and then we come home, wind down, go to bed about the same time. We know when things are out of balance if, let's say, our routine is off. Maybe we're traveling, maybe our work schedule changes. If our routine is off, it kind of throws us off. So, sticking to our routines, having those daily practices really does help create balance in our lives. So, this is a great concept to, teach our guests about. So, that includes having morning routines. So, like getting up at the same time each day, having like an awakening ritual. Maybe that includes our hygiene ritual, our skincare ritual at the beginning of the day, drinking some warm water or some decaf tea, having breakfast, and incorporating appropriate movement throughout the day, whether that's yoga or even just taking like a walk around the block during the afternoon. Um, so when we look at this cycle, again, we want to wake by 6. Now, everyone is a little bit different. So, for example, if we, work late, for example, in our night class, we might not get home until, 10:30 or so. So we might have to shift this a little bit, but we want to still stick to that routine, right? So we wake up at a certain time. We are now heading into the kapha part of our cycle. Maybe again, we're starting our day with some meditation. And then I accidentally went to the wrong slide here. All right. And then we are now getting into like our morning. So we are digesting our breakfast. That is pitta at work. That is the digestion of our food, transforming food into fuel. And then we are, getting into the vata part of our cycle in the afternoon. We're gearing up for dinner, and then we're winding down for our day so that we can be in bed at 10 o'clock. Our body is working hard while we sleep, and then we're gearing up to do it all again. So, The concept of dinacharya and sticking to these daily practices, our routine, again, really does help build that balance. All right. So, in looking at how to eat, so with Vata, because Vata tends to run, on like the cool and light side, and experiences more dryness, we want like warm, heavier, oilier foods, right? We want more like healthy fats. We want sweet, sour, salty taste. We want to minimize raw, bitter, pungent, and astringent foods. And we want like larger, balanced portions. Pitta runs hot and moist and light. So we want cooler foods and beverages. We want sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes. We want to minimize the spice. We want to minimize the heat because, again, Pitta runs hot, right? We also want to favor vegetarian meals here for optimal digestion. And for Kapha runs heavy, it runs moist, it runs cold. So we want lighter foods with warmth. And we want dryness, right? We want pungent, bitter, and astringent taste. We want to avoid excess fats and oils. We want to limit heavy and fried foods. And we're favoring smaller portions, right? So even if we're, eating throughout the day, maybe we're having more frequent meals, but they're smaller, right? Like maybe little snacks throughout the day versus like heavier meals. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Ayurveda and Aveda today. So again, Ayurveda, it's been in existence for over 5,000 years, but we're still using that knowledge and that science today in Aveda. It is a living practice, and we continue to use these principles today in 2026, right? Almost 50 years later. Many of our products feature botanical ingredients that have been used in Ayurveda for many, many years. We utilize carefully, thoughtfully created aromas to design that are designed to support emotional well-being, along with physical results that can really help transform the skin and the hair. We have holistic formations or formulations that work in harmony within our body and senses. And also, we were really committed to sustainability and protecting our environment as we only have one planet. So we want to, give back to the communities as well that help us harvest our ingredients. Our professional treatments are also reflective of Ayurveda, which you are definitely going to see in skincare when it comes to our rituals of renewal, for example. And again, really bringing that concept of holistic well-being and like daily practices to bring about, whole body health and skin health. All right. And the concept of customization in our spa services is really important, right? Learning what our guests' dosha is and how we can bring about balance to whatever is out of balance. And again, taking that beyond the treatment and, helping educate our guests into how they can bring those Ayurvedic concepts into their life for whole body well-being. All right. Thank you.